episode of Stand On It. I'm your host, VaSaad, Greer.
And I'm your host, Byron, Gaither.
We here with, I know him as Coach Lewis. He goes by K.O. Lewis. I know him as a coach. He's an artist. He's a principal, teacher, role model. A lot of good things about him. Byron, go ahead.
Man, just all around great guy, man. You know, once you get to know him, I mean, you'll appreciate him for, you know, the knowledge and wisdom that he possesses and the things that he does. But why don't you tell us about yourself, Mr. Lewis?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, thank you to y'all for, for bringing me in here, because at the end of the day, you work and you do what you can, but, in terms of people just recognize you enough to say, come sit down with us and talk, I appreciate that. So just thank you to you fellas for even bringing me in here. But, like I said, Coach Lewis, Mr. Lewis, K.O. Lewis, from Louisville. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a family man. But most people know me as an assistant principal at New Elementary. I take pride in the work that I do there. But I'm also an artist, a nationally renowned artist. I take a lot of pride in what I do with that as well. My artwork has been shown in a lot of favorable places. Places that I never envisioned my work being, but places like Carnegie Hall, collections from NFL players, former NFL players, people who are mayors of Louisville, so I'm a blessed individual, but I do appreciate being able to connect with the community. I appreciate being able to connect with young people, but that's pretty much me, man. I'm an artist. I'm an educator. I keep to myself for the most part, but I try to stay involved too. And I think that's important, not only for me, but just anybody who knows me. I'm not hard to find. So that's pretty much me, man. Just nothing crazy.
Because that part about you was what I found fascinating the most, that you were an actual artist. Because you are my son's principal in school, so I just looked at you, as that, Mr. Lewis, the principal, the authoritative figure, and then, once I got to know you more, I found out you were an artist, and it was like, oh man, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Where did you, how did you tap into that, your artistry? When did you understand that you were an artist,
So everybody has their gift. Everybody has something that they always go back to. And all the way from when I was, I cannot remember not doodling or drawing on something. And so it's not hard for me to say that I've been an artist in some facet, even when I was in grade school. I was always the individual that people asked to, draw the pictures when it came to class projects. I always preferred taking the art classes over other electives. And that really propelled me into having success in academics, because really I'm not someone who you would say is an academic within the classroom. I wasn't a straight A student. I wasn't somebody who followed direction very well like I was supposed to growing up. I dealt with a lot of childhood trauma, and my way of coping with that, and a lot of that really was drawing, painting, staying in the sketchbook, mimicking characters from my favorite cartoons. That was my thing to do. That was my thing. On top of managing what Louisville had to offer. And don't get me wrong, Louisville's a beautiful place, but in the reality of it all, it's a challenge. And so being able to say that, man, my little brother's an artist, and that's what my brothers would always say to me. I have 3 older brothers. They would always say, man, my brother's an artist, man. He's the athlete. Football and art were my 2 things. And no matter what was going on in my life, I always made sure, I can't say but my parents, my family made sure that I was involved in those things, because I showed an interest in it. I showed that I had a skill set in it, and they continued to push me in that direction. And even times when I did not feel like I wanted to continue to do it, they wouldn't let me quit. I had to stay with it, which then got me to the point to where I excelled at it going into middle school and high school, and decided that that's what I wanted to do, or even, follow down that path when I got to college, which then that kind of opened me up to so many other things that I didn't know I had. I didn't know leadership, skills. I didn't know that these qualities that I just thought were natural, and just, trying to get people to follow me and to listen to a message. it's funny how those things are also incorporated in a lot of the paintings that I do now, you know, in a very subtle way. And so, you know, for me, it's the thing that it's my foundation. My foundation is art. My foundation is struggle. My foundation is trauma. My foundation is football. My foundation is staying involved in, you know, academics and trying my best at it until I got to a point where I understood how to learn, how to excel, and how to be what I am. And so, you know, it's been a journey. You know, the journey has been a lot of ups and downs, and I think that's where I come with a lot of validity when I'm working in the role that I'm in now. When I'm talking to young people who face trauma, who face experiences that they don't understand, because I didn't understand it when I was younger, but being able to have that understanding, to be able to speak to it, and have some grace, but also some expectations surrounding it, because I don't feel sorry for anybody, because I understand that you start feeling sorry for somebody, that's how they fail.
Yes.
But also understanding that, hey, I'm going to continue to work with you and continue to put into you. That's what happened to me when I was younger, with art, with, you know, our teachers, with coaches. It's all cyclical, man. It comes back around.
Yeah.
You know, so it was beautiful in that way, and that's kind of where, you know, the art started. So I really say probably high school. I knew that I was good enough to probably do something with it. What to do with it, didn't know exactly then, but I knew I was good enough to do something with it.
See, he knows you as the principal, Coach Lewis. I know you, or Mr. Lewis. I know you as the freshman year, walking down the hallway. You stayed on the first in that hallway right there, that little gap right there at the classroom. Walking by, always calling me Big Chunky every day, and walking back and forth.
Big
And
Chunky.
I'm not gonna lie, man. If you wasn't the coach, I don't think I would have been to do all my 3 years there. I don't think I would have finished it.
I mean, you tried to quit.
I did. Every year, I
tried to quit.
did. I hated it. I hated the running. The
Yeah.
summer camp broke me. Freshman year,
And I thought we had lost you when you transferred to
Yep. Madisonville.
Madisonville, okay,
Yep.
my bad. But, you know, when you transferred over that way, I thought we had lost you. But then when we got you back, I was very excited. You know,
I was happy.
I was very excited we got you back. I mean, obviously, you was always dealing with some form of an injury.
Those knees.
No, it's my wrist. No, it ain't my knees to college. It was my wrist that broke.
His wrist or his hand was always messed up every year in some way. And I mean, it is what it is, because, you know, you were trying to do what you would coach, shoot your hands in there, be aggressive, that kind of thing. But yeah, man, you know, and I don't say this just because it was you. Like, I've seen it with almost every young person that I poured into, is that, you know, you always push, you know, the people who have the greatest potential to the brink, you know, and then you continue to build them up, you know. And so at the end of the day, it's beautiful. I was thinking about it on my way over here, even, you know, just some of the young folks that I've had a chance to work with.
That's So
You know,
me and Tony Davidson just was talking about you literally 2 days ago. We was chilling, hanging out, and we brung you up, and he was like, man, he said, what's he doing now? And I said, he's a principal of the school. And he's like, what? I said, he's a principal.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, without him, man, he taught me football. Like, and same with Kristen Woods. Like, he feels the same. He taught him football. Like, there's so many people that you've like touched in that category in football that like made us keep going. And I'm like, I gotta give it to you, because I ain't gonna lie. I went to college and we're doing the same drills that you taught us, and it's like, man, I already know this stuff. Like, man, my D-line coach at high school come up here and coach this team right now. What we doing here? Like, man, this is not, come on. And it was just.
But that was the purpose, though. The purpose was to expose you so that you could be prepared. And I take pride in that.
Yeah.
I take pride in the fact that, you know, if I'm going to say that I'm going to be an educator, and I'm going to be somebody who's going to prepare somebody for whatever next step or whatever next level that's going to be, I got to make sure that I do it with some form of passion, some form of authentic excitement, so that, you know, not only are you getting a quality experience, but you're getting one that you know that I actually want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because listen, you can tell when somebody's trying to fake it to them.
Yes.
You can tell.
Yes.
And you don't want to pour it in. Because listen, we're asking people every day to show up, and not only just show up, but show up with their best and give whatever their best is.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be willing and ready to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, like when I think about all the young people that are doing it now, that's where I get my most excited, seeing you work with young kids, see Davis in the community doing his thing, you know, seeing guys like Cam, you Tinsley, Bowling, Ryan Bowling, doing his thing, coaching. Like so many of you guys who I butted heads with in some way.
Yes.
But also loved you guys dearly. You know what I mean? Like seeing you all pay it forward and do it again. And like that's the most rewarding thing that I could ever get out of doing it. You know what I mean? Most rewarding thing. For sure.
And like I coach, really, I'm not gonna lie. You the reason why I kind of coach. I'm like that's why I was wanting to go back to Owensboro and coach. And like I said, if Coach Brown ever asked me to coach the D line, I'm coming for the D line.
100%.
You know, I mean, if I gotta do O line a year, yeah, but I would rather love to do D line. I ain't like it. You inspired me to go do the D line, and like everything you taught us, our middle school, the kids doing the same thing we did. And I'm like, we do the same drills. I say same drills I did, and it's just like everything you pushed me to do it, and I don't know. I bring that passion. I like you bring the passion every day. You come on the field, you step on the field, and it was like, yep, and it was go time, and it was literally. And like
you got to tap into something, man.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, you could be doing so many other things, and there's so many things that people are dealing with these days. A lot of people know Coach Lewis. A lot of people know Mr. Lewis. But like Kale, from Louisville, Kentucky, growing up, like the bull crap that you see day in and day out. Like a lot of people don't know that.
right.
So tell us about K.O. Lewis, because we don't know K.O. Lewis.
I mean, just to kind of put it in, I don't have a sob story. Here's something that I said to one of our teachers recently, and I think it really, because I was talking about one of our students, and I said, poor people or people who are going through trauma, they don't know that they're poor. They don't know that they're experiencing trauma. That's life. They're experiencing life.
Yeah.
And as soon as we start to tell them, hey, like you should feel bad for going through this experience, you should feel bad for how you're living, then we're putting a standard or a construct on them that is not what they know.
Yes.
What they know is love. What they know is acceptance. What they know is family. That's what they know.
Yes.
And as long as we're treating them with the understanding that that's what they have, then they're going to be happy. They're going to grow. They're going to develop. And that's what we need to tap into. We don't need to tap into, some level of sadness for them or sympathy for them. Like, no, we're not helping anybody develop in that way. And so, like, for me, I had mentors that understood what I was going through because they knew more than I knew. They never let me like wallow in the fact that my father was a drug addict. They never let me wallow in the fact that my mom had to work multiple jobs and there were 4 boys who essentially were trying to raise themselves. My mom stayed in the church. She kept us in the church. We lived on that. We lived on those principles, even when there were moments when the church treated us like we were second-class citizens. And so I grew up seeing that kind of stuff. I grew up internalizing a lot of that stuff. And so the reality for me is I don't allow myself to be connected to, like, I have a lot of people that I work with. But, like, personally, I only have about 2 or 3 people that I'm tight with because of how I grew up. So I understand as an adult, and I've done a lot of work personally to deal with my trauma, to deal with childhood trauma, to deal with the fact that, I grew up seeing a lot of things I wasn't supposed to see at a young age. Very similar to the students that I connect with, And it's not to say that I can't connect with all students. I do that. I have to. But the reason why people like VaSaad, Glover, and a long list of, Woods, they gravitate is because there's sometimes there's an understanding that you sometimes can't speak on. People just know. People know that you understand it because of how you talk about it, because of how your solutions are based on some realism. Not this, oh man, you just gotta work harder to do your work. Like, what do you mean I gotta work harder to do my work? Don't you understand that I ain't got no heat in my house right now?
Yeah.
Don't you understand that my mom, she's working 2 or 3 jobs, and I gotta make sure there's a meal prepared for my little brother?
Yes.
Don't you understand that I gotta go bury my father, and that I ain't got no dress shoes to wear to his funeral? I remember young men coming to my house and me giving them dress shoes so they can go to their father's funeral. Like, I get that. And then in that specific situation, the young man, he was appreciative and almost like surprised that I was like, listen, you can have them, dude. You good. You ain't gotta get back to me. I don't need that. Because I'm in a different place now. But like for me, I see myself in so many young men, and even young women, because there are certain things that our parents are trying to do, but all it takes is one misstep, and then all of a sudden, it changes an entire scenario for your life. You know, and that doesn't mean that it's any one person's particular fault. All it takes is 6 seconds to change somebody's life. 6 seconds. You know, a split-second decision can change somebody's life immediately. So I realize that, and I operate in that mindset. You know, I don't try to get too heavy, and I apologize if I've gotten too heavy.
No, heck no.
That's what we're here for.
I love this.
Like,
I love it.
We want to know, and not to cut you off, because, you know, just my own backstory with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're a great inspiration to my son when I couldn't be because of where I was at. And to have a strong black man in that position at that time, I know was definitely important to where the development of where my son is at right now. Mm-hmm. You know, because you helped my son without him even knowing you helped him, because you understood what he was going through without him even knowing what he was even going through.
Right.
Especially when you knew where I was at.
Yeah.
You know, so it was for you to step in like that, and then when I actually met you, we sat down and we talked, and you know how I'm coming.
Yeah.
You know how I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm that guy. I'm calling like, what's going on? What do I need to do? You know, I get a call. If I see 1100, 686, 1100, I'm like, okay, it's Mr. Lewis. What's up? Hey, Mr. Gaither, it's Mr. Lewis. Hey, Mr. Lewis, what's up? What's going on? It's usually something with my son. You know what I mean? It's usually, hey, Byron's done did. Okay, you know, and it's not one of these relationships or situations where, oh, my son's perfect, they did it. Okay, what happened, Mr. Lewis? We're going to talk about it. I'm on my way. He knows 9 times out of 10, depending on what time of the day he calls me, if it's, you know, before 10 o'clock, by 11:30, man, I'm knocking at his door. He's like, come on in this day, let's talk about this. You know what I'm saying? I'm very hands-on, you know what I'm saying? And he makes that easy. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? He makes that comfortable to be able to come in and not only just talk to him about the issues with your son, but even yourself, to be like, hey, he may be struggling because of what I'm struggling with. You know what I'm saying? Or what I've been going through, or what I've done. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I definitely, you know, want to thank you for that. You know what I mean? Because...
Don't need to thank me.
No, I mean, I have to, because we don't see enough black men in those type of positions. And some that are in those positions don't handle it or go about it in the way that you do. In my experience, I can't speak for anybody else's experience. I can only speak on my own because of where I come from. I come from the country. It is what it is. You know, I've had nothing but older white men tell me how, you know, like you said, how it is how it's going to be. So I didn't have that, you know, because my uncles, they were all gone. So I didn't have that figure right there. So to see that, and you know, now, even though it affects me indirectly through my son, but to know my son has that, because he comes home all the time, man, Mr. Lewis, even when he know he in trouble. Like, if he know I talk to Mr. Lewis, he like, I need to just go home and be out. Hey, he already know, man. Hey, don't come with no bullshit, man. You know me and Mr. Lewis doesn't talk. Mm-hmm. So he'd be like, all right, Dad, look, this is what, did you tell Mr. Lewis that? All right, well, you know, and I say, man, you know, tomorrow you go handle your business. You know, hey, Mr. Lewis, man, hey, But yeah, man, that's a wonderful thing, man. And like I see that.
I think you're speaking on something that's important though, because a lot of people ask me all the time, like, how do we improve our relations between the community and the school system? Like that's a big part of it, because I think a lot of times, you know, we're seeing the athletics. When I say we, I'm talking about black people.
Yes.
We see the athletics, and we see that we are heavily represented in athletics. You know, whether it be basketball or football, which are our two most predominant, you know, sports in this country. But when it comes to the ability to read, or the ability to, you know, do math, or the ability to have a positive relationship within the school setting, that's an area where we're not meeting that. We're lacking very strongly. And so, you know, for me, like, I take that on as a responsibility. Like, it's my responsibility to make sure that when I say that I have an open door policy, that's just not for the people who are required to be in this building, but that's also for the families that I'm working with as well.
Yes, definitely.
You know, and I mean that. And I'm I'm not trying to tell you that. I'm going to show you that. Come on, anytime. You know, and I apologize if you got to wait at any point in time, but I'm very sincere in what I mean when I say, come on in, let's sit down and talk. If there is any discrepancy in whatever we're dealing with, let's work on it together.
Yes.
I think a lot of times we go to our places of comfort and we talk about the things that bother us, and we allow things to build, and they build to a point to where we no longer can resolve it, because we're unwilling to come off of whatever the primary concerns are. But school is still happening, things are still happening, and then when you come to sit down, you're still on what happened 3-4 months ago, but there's been 3-4 months of additional occurrences. And then when families sit down with people running the school system, oh, well, now you want to bring up this and bring up that, but I ain't heard nothing. Well, I've tried to call you, but I can't get a hold of you.
Yeah.
And so it goes both ways. Like, we have to be open as a school system, but families also have to take off some of the blinders that we have when it comes to our children and how they operate when they're away from the families. Now, let's be real about it. Our children do not operate the same way. My child, I have a 6-year-old daughter. My child goes to school where I work at. And please believe, my child has to come to the office from time to time. Okay? I'm not against it. I'm not going to point the finger at the other student, nor am I going to point the finger at the teacher. Because I have expectations of my child, and I'm going to say, what did you do in this situation?
Yes. Like, I done called him, last week? About some grades. You know, I'm calling, Mr. Lewis, what's going on? He's like, Mr. Gaither, hey, everything's all right. I mean, and that's, like you say, open door policy, man. This was after school. You know, the message didn't come to my phone until after school. And I'm calling him like, hey, Mr. Lewis, you know, because that's one thing I am. You know, I'm very big on the academic side. You know what I mean? Because I understand just being with the experiences I've had. You know, I know how important that academics is, and that's one thing, like me and Mr. Lewis, we see eye to eye. And sometimes he got to calm me down. Like, calm down, Mr. Gaither, everything's all right.
In that situation,
you know, just be patient. And, he got some more time, then I'm like, are you sure? He's like, man.
And really, a lot of it goes to, like, being able to understand what their process is.
Yeah.
And I try to view it from the parent's perspective. Like, a lot of times parents are not aware, like, okay, well, yes, your child is participating in activities and instruction every day. But if we grade and score everything that a child does, then all we're doing is just we're not building the whole child in that way.
Yeah.
Like, we have to give your child experiences. They have to be able to practice. They have to be able to obtain knowledge. They have to be able to do something with that knowledge, and then we assess that knowledge that they obtain.
Yeah.
At that point, grades go in. It's a process. We're not trying to just overscore, inundate our children with scores, and in doing so, they feel so adversely about the educational process that they don't want to be there.
And that's probably what's happened to our generation,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what that was. So that, you know, because even when I come to you, the first time I come to you, like, you know, everything's on the computer now. Mm-hmm. Bro, I didn't understand none of it. Man, Mr. Lewis had sit me down and be like, look, this is this. I'm like, I don't get none of that. None of this was, you know, because that's how it was when I went to school. We got graded for everything. Because I'm asking him, like, the boy ain't come home with homework in 2 months. Like, what's going on? He lied to me, man. He's like, no, he's doing no homework. You know, this is kindergarten now. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, this is kindergarten, you know? So, yeah, I mean, things have changed and things have evolved, and it's good to have a man such as yourself in that position through this evolution to even help us understand, you know, from, you know, just man to man, you know, just help me understand this process. You know what I'm saying? And let me know that it's okay to, because I'm not going to lie, man, I was nervous in that, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying, for my son, I was scared for him. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not an educator. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to reach my son in that regard in some things when it comes to that. You know, because my son's first year of school was during COVID.
Yeah.
So, I mean, me and him both sitting at the kitchen table sleep. Well, he's supposed to be on the computer. Like, I'm supposed to, and then they're doing it. Yeah, I'm like, I'm getting nudged, like, wake up, and it's like, man, I can't even sit here and focus on this and concentrate on this. So how can I get him to? So I know that the jobs that these educators have, teachers and principals and things of that nature, I know that it's hard, man, because it's hard to sit there and what they're teaching now, I don't get it.
You're speaking on the questions that we've been asking for some years now.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, some of this, I know our discussions predominantly have to do with me, but just with me knowing what I know and where I'm at. And you guys have a pretty solid following. You had over 600 views already. So, I mean, people are paying attention, people are watching. And so what I would say to our community in base and what I think people really need to have, you know, their mindset on is, you know, as we transition, you know, into a place of, okay, well, what does education look like for my child? The reality is that we're taking on so much of the community as a school base that we're asking so much of teachers that teachers are having an impossible time trying to meet the needs.
Yes.
So then the question mark comes in, what are you doing as a building leader? Well, we support our teachers as much as we can. I'm gonna be as real as I can be. But if I'm looking at it from a realistic point of view, the job is becoming overwhelming.
Yes.
Very overwhelming. And as parents that get their children to their primary care physicians, and their primary care physicians are diagnosing their children, and then we take our children, we take them to school, and we say, hey, the doctor said that I have to have X, Y, Z, this long list of accommodations awarded to my child. Well, what we're missing out on is that, well, that child is now amongst another 20 plus students that are in a class of 25
Yes.
that may need a similar type of, you know, accommodation list. And so we're at a place right now where it's not, that's a slight exaggeration, but when I say legitimately 10 to 15, that's realistic.
Yeah, because
It's realistic to have 10 to 15 students that need some form of an accommodation, some form of a plan that could put the teacher in a position to have to adjust the thing that they've gone to school to learn to become an expert at. So now you're no longer an expert at that. Now you have to become an expert at, you know, issuing accommodations to go along with what you're teaching, and it is an overwhelming job. And you expect a year one teacher to do that, a year two teacher to do that. And you expect them to do that well. And then we want to have questions on why our children are falling behind.
That ain't old school Miss Johnson, you know, just teaching
Right.
math.
Sit your butt down and listen. Sit down.
Because you can't even do that in the school systems today. And that's,
You have to be
we're
more
not talking about,
strategic.
and I'm not talking about the, what they call the abuse part, but I'm just talking about the assertiveness.
Yes.
You know, now, I mean, because I remember I was that kid
Mm-hmm.
running around I had to be told, Byron, sit down. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, if it was somebody like
But
that.
we accepted it though.
Oh, yes, yes.
We accepted it. I was that kid.
Yeah.
I was that kid that had to go see the principal.
Yeah.
I had to. I've been suspended from school before.
Yeah.
And I'm in a position of being an administrator now.
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand, like, I see it from a lens of someone who is not supposed to be where he is now. I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be dead or in jail.
Yeah.
Let's tell the story how it's supposed to be told.
Yeah.
Based on the statistics and based on where I come from, I'm not supposed to be here.
Facts.
But because I focused on what I was good at, because I stopped long enough to say, you know what, I'm going to do it somebody else's way, I got to a place to where I could say, okay, well, what's the next step? And that's where it comes in at, is that get yourself to a point where you can get to a next step.
Yeah.
Get yourself to a place to where, okay, well, I'm solid now. I know what I'm doing now. I know how to make it to the next. Now that I'm here, what does the next step look like? So then you start mirroring and mimicking what people you deem to be successful are doing. And then you do it again. And you do it again. And you realize, man, I'm an artist now. I'm an assistant principal. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, they let me become an assistant principal?
I said that. I said that. I said that's a good force.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
But on top of that, though, that's more or less because of a lack of confidence in me and
right.
myself.
Yeah.
It's not because I didn't have the credentials, nor the leadership skills, nor the know-how. I just didn't believe that I was academic enough to step in those doors. But here's the thing: when you step in those doors, it's time to own it.
Yeah, and it's more than academics, man. Like the whole school, when I used my sixth freshman my senior year, the whole school messed with him. Like if you had something, like nobody was holding secrets. They would come, spill it on him. Like, hey, Coach Lewis, this is like Mr. Lewis, this is what it is. And he had stuff there, and hear you out. Like, it's more than the academics to me. Like, it's like if you can hear a kid out, and a kid can come to you and tell you what they feel in their chest. That's more of like, you know, I mean, that's bigger than the I'll say academics, but like that'll make a kid want to go through a wall, want to actually learn. If they can come to you, know they can come and talk to you, you gonna talk to them back like they're not, like you're not on a pedestal above them. You're looking at them eye to eye, talking with them.
I mean, I realize these guys are like my little brothers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, let's put it in perspective. I'm not old. I'm 38 years old. And so, me being 38 years old, I graduated high school 2004, graduated college 2008, got my first job in January of 2009, and now I'm pushing on 15 years. So think about how long you've been out of high school.
10 years.
Think about how old I was when I was your administrator.
Wow.
I was 28 years old when I was your
He's my age now. Yeah, you say maybe that. Oh, I'm 27, but yeah.
You see what I mean?
Wow.
And not just at some little space. I was an administrator at a prominent high school.
High school, yes.
In the state of Kentucky.
Yes.
You see what I mean? And so, like, I don't take that kind of stuff for granted. And it doesn't mean that I'm special by any means. What it means is that knowing that much information, I gotta be willing to do that. Because I can't put myself up here, because how is somebody who's gonna be 28 years old thinking that I got it all figured out, gonna be able to reach the students who's trying to service? I can't.
I know. You know, that's how some people do. They get that role and they're like, hey, I'm up here now. Meet me, come, you know, get up here or don't.
Yeah,
you know?
come where I'm at, not let me not let me come where you are, because I even understand where you are, because I've once been there, you know, directly, indirectly.
Because Byron, I'm telling you, it's crazy. He was the art teacher right there in the hallway. He had his own little classroom, and then the next year he's in the big house. Like he's in the
He's in the big sound like it was jail.
No, sorry, not big house.
Yeah, like
to the
vintage,
warden.
He's in the office. He's in there.
I'll say this though, you know, I can't say that was all me. I've been blessed to be around some good people. I've had some really good mentors. And one of those mentors that I have to pay homage to is John Lacey.
Goes to Lacey.
I know that, you know, he's somebody who saw something in me before I saw it myself. And he's somebody who sat down with me, and it wasn't just him, it was Joe Prince too. You know, Coach Fritz, you know, if you remember, we've had some very colorful families and parents, mothers come in. He would give me the opportunity to diffuse. And so it wasn't anything that I had a choice to do. Hey, Coach Fritz, can you talk to that parent, please? And I would go. And when someone instills confidence in you, man, it's like a jolt of energy. It's like, oh, okay, you want me to go? And I mean, let's keep in mind, we had some people who were connected to the community that are on our staff, who were on our staff at that point in time. And so they 100% could have talked to these people, just all in one. But they asked me, the young guy, who's 25, 26 at the time, hey, can you go talk to them, please? And so, you know, they make jokes about it, and it's all in good fun. But the reality is that turns into, I think you really
preparation. That's proper preparation. Mm-hmm. Like you said, they've seen something in you that you just said it earlier that you even doubted in yourself.
Yes.
Because you never seen K.O. Lewis, Mr. Lewis, Coach Lewis being Principal Lewis.
No.
You know what I mean?
And
that alone, with you saying that, and with you being who you are and what you are, even for the young black men that come across your path, is just alone an inspiration in itself. Because like I said, man, you know, coming up, I'm gonna speak for me, not for, you know, just for anybody else. I didn't have those role models to look at. I didn't have someone that looked like me in positions that I felt like that I could obtain one day once I got older. I had those people that looked like me in the positions that I obtained. They went to prison. You know what I'm saying? They were out here on the streets doing things and doing stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that's what, you know, that's the choices that I made myself based on my own life. But to know that this next generation and this youth have someone such as yourself to look up to in that regard is like, okay, yes, good, positive. You know what I'm saying? Like, this right here needs to happen. They need to know, you know, who K.O. Lewis is, not just Coach Lewis or Mr. Lewis. So when they're in that position and they're struggling with something, and you come to them and you tell them this, and that, they can say, oh, okay, yeah, he does understand. You know what I'm saying? He may know exactly what I'm going through. Like I said, I never had that, you know, in my life. So to see that, man, I mean, it's amazing. Like I'm just like proud to even know you myself, because I sit back myself and was like, man, you know, I can call this guy. You know what I'm saying? Because me and you've had conversations. You know my own personal struggle. We've talked about it. You know, I've not shied away from it. And he's giving me advice. You know, he's telling me, hey, I'm proud of you. keep it up, man. You're doing good. Hey, I'm glad that that you're showing up, man. 'Cause there was a couple times, man, I'm PTO,
No, but
parent teacher
here's the
conference.
thing. Here's the thing, man. And that's real.
You know
That
what
is
I'm saying?
real.
Like on the
Like
phone,
that
you
is
sit in the
as
stall.
real as we can get.
Yes.
Like that is very real. And like for anybody who may be watching this, my biggest advice is show up.
Yeah.
Show up. Because if you show up, you're gonna do it. You're not gonna embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
You got way too many people that you're responsible for, or too many people that you're representing to not do it. To not do it to a level that you can at least be proud of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It might be the best of the best, but it's a good enough version to find success. And like I try to get people to understand, like just show up. Stop hiding from the expectation. Just show up.
Yeah.
You know, because if you show up, you can at least deal with the information that you get, but you can't deal with something that you hide from.
Right.
You can't. You can't. Let's stop hiding from the realities of things that we self-inflict. Like, yes, we come from trauma. If you are a person of color, you come from trauma. We know this.
Yes.
We know this.
Day one.
But as someone who comes from trauma, how do we manage our trauma? Do we continue to repeat the same patterns? Or do we say, you know what, let's take a step back, assess our own personal circumstances, and do something about it and just show up? I am so proud of the fact that I see young men beginning to show up. Now, do we have enough numbers showing up? Probably not.
It could be better.
It could be better. That's the reality. I think that's the next step.
So
We're in their position though.
now that you mentioned that, and you being in the position that you're at, what can we do to help those numbers? Like from an administration standpoint where you're lacking those type of numbers, what do you think that we can do as a community, as a whole, man to man or whatever? How can we get that outreach to say, hey, we need you here, do this, do that, without just saying we need you here? Like what do you feel like could be done? Or even some advice that you could give to change that? Because you see that more than what we see it. We see it in the indirect way as being coaches when we have to deal with some of the young men and we're like, okay, home life is this, home life is that.
Mm-hmm.
And we only get it for hour 30 minutes during practice and stuff, but you get it every day, Monday through Friday. You probably get it more, just as much as a family gets it.
You get on the weekends too.
Yeah.
I mean, my first response to that is not everything is 100%. And so I think when we start to look at what works, we get so caught up in the fact that, well, it didn't work out for that person, and we get really quick to point out the things that don't work. Things that are typically work for people, you don't hear about it.
Yeah.
Like, not a whole lot of people know about my story or how I conduct my business, with the art, or even how I got to where I've gotten to, because if you're doing all right, you tend to just keep that process going. But programs that are working, very few people tend to pull themselves away long enough to go do it. So what I mean by that is, we all play sports, we've all played sports. Sports becomes our primary institution of participation.
Yes.
But it's like pulling teeth to get people to participate in the Western Academy.
Yes.
It's like pulling teeth to get children to buy in to the overall core values of Western Academy, of being well-read, well-dressed, well-traveled. Like we're talking about some very basic principles. Like if you're going to go do something, and well-spoken. That's probably the most
important thing is Ms. Ogle speaks on that.
You have to, because if you don't, then you literally cut off an opportunity without even knowing it's in front of you.
Yes.
Like number one, how you present yourself is important. I'm not saying that you got to be flashy. I'm not saying that you got to have the most expensive things, but at least be put together, right? Also, when you're going from place to place and you choose to go from place to place as a family, get out of Owensboro.
Yes.
Go see something else outside of Owensboro. And I mean, I say that from a place of love. Listen, I love my people in Owensboro. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I love it. But I'm not from here. And the first thing that I heard about was how great Owensboro was. Yes, it is a great place, and I have chosen to raise a family here. But we also have the duality of, yes, it's a great place, but we don't have any perspective of what other cities.
Yes.
are doing
Yes.
in preparation for the next level.
Yes.
So then when our babies, they go out into the world and they get faced with reality,
You wonder why they come back
we
struggling.
wonder why they come back.
Yeah.
We wonder why they come back. Not only come back, they come back broken.
Yes. Yes.
They come back hurting. They come back like, why didn't you ever tell me?
Yes. Why didn't you?
And if we look at the school system and say, okay, well, the school didn't prepare my child for this. Well, wait a second. Every time that we came to try to tell you that your child wasn't performing like they're supposed to perform, you push back and say, well, they're doing good enough. They're all right. But the information is in front of you. You know your child is not performing well. You know your child barely passed this class, and it was good enough for that time
Yeah.
because you were worried about them bouncing a basketball.
Yes.
That was your primary focus.
Scoring that touchdown.
Scoring a touchdown. Like that's what you was worried. What colleges were coming to talk to him? Wait a second. Like if we're trying to be real, the Evan Hamptons, the Wimsits of the world, I promise you, there were very few conversations from those parents coming to a coach asking about how many colleges came to talk, how many colleges have been asking. They don't have to ask.
You don't have to.
Colleges are lifting up every stone, opening up every door they can possibly open up to keep their jobs.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it all. But as parents and as families, we have to be willing to take our children on campuses. We have to be willing to go on visits. Those are the type of sacrifices that we have to be willing to make. Like success is a sacrifice, and I'll give you an understanding of what I mean. And I'm not even going to use school as an example. So with my personal business, anytime that I go do a show, it's not like I can just say, hey, I would like to do this show, can I participate? And they say yes. No, I have to pay a vendor fee. The vendor fee is typically anywhere from $500 to $600 in most cases of quality shows. Then I have to make sure that I have an entire setup. I have to invest a lot of money to pay for my entire setup to make it look professional so that when people come into my space, I even have a chance to sell something to them.
Yes.
Okay? I'm not talking about a guarantee. I'm talking about a
Just a
chance. A chance to have somebody walk through and say, you know what, I like this enough to make it a part of my collection, right? Then I also have to pay for a place to sleep at. I have to pay for my food. I have to pay for, anything if it gets broken. I have to pay for my trailer. I got to make sure the maintenance is kept up on my van. I have to pay for my website. I have to pay for my printer. I have to pay for the paper that goes to my printer. I have to pay for the ink. So the list goes on. These things that are coming out of my pocket just to have a chance to be successful.
Yes.
How many chances are we willing to take as individuals to make sure our children, our most prized possessions in life, are successful?
Right there. Right there.
We're not willing to face the realities of it. We go to work and we provide a roof over their heads. That's the basic necessity of life. Why are we looking at our children like, I provided a roof over your head? You should be thankful.
Yes.
That's the difference between our communities and the communities of others, because they don't look at their children and tell them, you should be thankful that I put a roof over your head. How dare we do that to our children? That's my problem. Because that's what we do. And then we wonder why our children are not prepared. We're not prepared because we're not pushing them. We're not giving them all of the tools. We're not playing on a level playing field. And I know people say, you know what, man, I ain't got it like that to do it. Well, yes, you do. Yes, you do. If you take a step back and analyze your life and you analyze your circumstances, you will find ways to take a one-day trip to go somewhere that is prestigious.
So don't go out tonight.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Don't go out to eat tonight.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Hey,
Don't get me started on your entertainment systems, your gaming systems, your streaming services. Don't get me started on that. But you're going to sit and argue with me on the fact that you're not going to go on a college campus, because and the reason I keep pushing that, college is for everybody. But if college is not going to be for everybody, let's at least start looking at, okay, well, what is it that I want my child to do? What is it that we can do that says, okay, we can extend college? Are we getting into real estate? Are we going to play the game? It's a very lucrative game.
Yes.
Are we going to get into rental properties?
Yes.
Are we going to make sure that we build up a rental portfolio? I'm going to make sure that I jump in. I'm going to tell my child to go for a HUD loan at the age of 18. They're going to buy a duplex or triplex. They're going to live on one side of it. I'm going to assist them in this process of doing it, so they can live in there for 1 year, obtain the money for that, then move out of it, go buy another one, and do it all over again for 1 year, and now they have a duplex that's under their names. The information's out there. It's out there. It's not an issue of things being hidden. It's an issue of what are we willing to sacrifice, and that's what I always go back to. Like, I have a passion for something, I have something that I love doing, and I sacrifice to make that happen. Like, that's why I'm successful. I sacrifice, you know, and just like you're willing to sacrifice. You're sacrificing right now, time with your families. It's like, and it's like, there's no guarantees, but you're doing it because it's passion, and based on that passion, you find success. So that's me.
So, and then speaking of success, because like I said, we're talking to the youth here.
Mm-hmm.
Youth define success as how much money you got. You know what I'm saying? How much jewelry you got on, what type of car you got, your outfits or your shoes. Your success, what is your success defined behind outside of the materialistic things?
So, you know, yes, I buy materialistic things. I do. Because I've worked darn hard. I used to work darn hard. It was big to you, but I worked very hard. I've worked very hard to be in a position to obtain materialistic things. But really, success for me is, number one, seeing the guys that I've had some type of impact on, and they've been able to speak on it. You know, like it is important to me for my name to mean something. Not because I've told, hey, listen, be careful what you say about me. No, I want you to speak authentically on me. You know, whatever your experience was with me, I want you to be able to speak on that. So I feel like I found success not because of what I've actually done. What I've done has then put people in a position to have an experience me in some way. And because they've experienced me in some way, that experience has been positive, impactful. It's been something, you know, it's been rewarding for somebody else. And because those experiences that I've been able to have with others, it's been rewarding. That is success for me personally. Because I've been able to look past the monetary portion of it. I don't stress about money. You know, I'm not rolling in the dough. I'm not trying to act that way, but I'm not in a position where I'm counting my bills, you know, and I'm blessed because of it. I understand that there's a blessing in that because life for me could have taken a turn. I literally, my cousin was shot down. I watched his body roll away, you know, on a gurney, you know, three houses down from me, and I'm trying to figure out life, you know, at 8 years old. What's different between me and my cousin that lives 3 houses down from me? Nothing different. I just, you know, for me, like, I was awarded the opportunity to stay in the things that somebody said were good enough for me to do. And I trusted it. There's a level of trust in that. So success for me, I can't say because, you know, I own my own home or I have a business that I'm able to, you know, say is successful based on the, you know, the people that have collected my work. You know, because I'm an assistant principal. Like, those things are byproducts of the efforts that I've done day to day. You know what I mean? And day to day, I've gotten to certain places, and I've gotten to them quicker in many ways than some other people have. You know, I've made some decisions quicker than some other people have, and so I'm able to make this transition to life in a way that I wanted to. So success is seeing you guys be successful, and you guys be able to speak on it. You know, because I don't have to speak on my name anymore.
It's being spoken.
It's spoken.
I like that. I like that. And I like the fact that you put emphasis on work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the work aspect of it, of your success. You know what I'm saying? And the true sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like I said, man, we all know what our community is. It's
Mm-hmm.
lacking. You know what I'm saying? We've all been affected by it one way or the other. You know what I mean? But I know just seeing, like, I tell him all the time, man, love this guy to death. Huge inspiration to me. Because like I said, with him being the age that he is, the way that he does what he does, like I talk to him every day. I talk to him, you know, while he's at work sometimes. You know, and I'm like, it inspires me because I wasn't where he was at that part of my life. You know what I mean? And to know that, you know, because both of you all, the relationship I have with both of you all is byproduct of my son. You know what I'm saying? He was my son's coach. When I found out he was my son's coach, the first thing I told him was like, hey man, I want him to be coached. I want him to be taught. You know what I'm saying? Don't take it easy on him. Same thing I tell, you know, that me and you talk about in those aspects. And I feel like when we're able to do that as men, come to another man and say, hey man, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I need help here. You know what I'm saying? And there's another man that's willing to step up and aid and assist in that area. You know what I mean? That looks like us, that wants nothing from me. Neither one of you have asked me for anything. You know what I mean? To give me what I've asked of you. You know what I mean? And that's just, hey, show up for my son when he's with you, when he's around you. Be what he needs. You know what I'm saying? In that absence. And I see parts of each one of you, like the guidance and the tutelage, you know what I'm saying, from my son. Both of you giving him confidence that I wasn't able to give him. My son, like, he grabbed the football aspect through Coach Greer. You know what I'm saying? Well, Coach Greer told me to run the ball this way and to do this. Well, hey, if that's what he told you to do it.
You are speaking on something that is probably the most important thing that we consistently miss. And you're speaking on the fact that just the three of us have been able to build a community within ourselves.
Yes.
You see what I mean? Like a community that shows up for each other when times of need happen. Not everybody can speak on that or speak to that. And I'm gonna give you an example of my own. My daughter, she was very blessed while in preschool. And the reason why she was very blessed is because she had a class where she had 2 black teachers at one time.
Very rare.
I can't say.
Rare.
I can't. I've
Rare
never,
from around here.
never had that.
Yes.
Never.
Listen,
Rare.
2 black teachers at one time, and they spoke life into her every day. Like I will never be able to repay them the way that they have paid forward their time to my child. And I hope, when I've spoken to them about their importance and how much, my daughter loves them, and she still speaks on them to this day. Miss Carol, Miss Mark, and she speaks to them, speaks about them and remembering them to this day. Nothing against her current teachers, because her current teachers are great. The teachers that she had are great, but they can't speak to understanding. Understanding is something that people do not. The fact that I can just look at you and know that you know.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
But I can look at you and I know that you know.
Yeah. It says a lot.
That you know how my hair, what type of hair day I'm having. And you've gone through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you can pull my hair back from me and do it in a place of love, and instead of letting me look however, because my daddy was having a rough morning.
You know what you mean?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
I know.
Like we're asking what is it for our children that we can do. We have to continue to put ourselves in positions to do.
Yeah.
Continue. And I get it. I don't coach anymore, and the reality is that I stopped coaching because I was spending so much time away from family.
Yes.
And it wasn't because, Mr. DeLacy was, said, you know what, you're an administrator, now you can't coach. A lot of people don't know.
I was gonna ask that question.
I coached all the way through. So I coached when I started until
I did last year.
Yeah, and basically what my plan was also, because when he sat down and talked to me, I hadn't decided if I was going to coach again. And at that time, I'd already determined, I'm going to step away because there's just no way I can do administration and coach at the same time. There's just no way. And
I begged you to come back.
I
did. No,
the kids talked to me.
No, that's serious. Me and Kamari Tinsley, we
Sat
at
down.
at our football banquet.
I was kind of upset at Coach Prince over what he did though.
Cause he told us at the thing he wasn't coming back, and like,
Because I had just had a
I
conversation.
started crying. I was like, oh, my senior year, what the hell's gonna happen? Like,
It wasn't supposed to happen that way. Because the way it was supposed to happen, because I had just talked to him like a day or so prior. And we were in like our in-between. It just lost the state championship and the Highlands. And he was getting ready to make his transition. And I was like, you know what? It's time for me to make a transition as well. And so for me, I'd already been having a discussion with my wife. We were trying to, build our family. And at the end of the day, you get to a point where your wife sit there and tells you, I didn't sign up to be a single parent or a single woman.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for that. You know, and you get to a point where you realize that, okay, you're spending a vast majority of your afternoons, you're spending all your afternoons after school, you're spending all your afternoons, or you're pretty much a big portion chunk of your weekends, because even while I'm at home, I'm still breaking down film in preparation.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm working.
I didn't understand that until now, because like now I get the same. Like, don't get me wrong, my wife ain't on me, but like she be on me. She be like, another football this weekend, yeah. Practice today. She be like,
he lying, she be on him. I be on the phone sometimes. We going there. You go by yourself. You get out. He lying.
But you know, here's the thing though. That 7.5, 8 years that I spent coaching have been so valuable with my ability to build connections with people. Like, I mean, listen, I know people talk. People talk. That's what we do. We talk. You know, we talk about, you know, how people are and their impact. And I know that because of the way that I work with so many people, it's really helped me out of my connections with other families. You know, and then them talking to them. So like the word spreads, you know, how you operate with people, like it does, it's quite natural, it does. The good and the bad, I don't get caught up in the negative. I mean, everyone's perspectives are not going to be perfect. But the thing that I was bothered by with that whole thing was that I notified Coach Prince. I sat down and talked to him in the office, and I said, listen, you know, this is probably going to be this is my last one, all right? And I gave the reasons why, you know, I didn't go back to school, that whole thing. You know, that was the plan for me, and it was going to be really difficult for me to do that because my first 2 years in administration, I was going back working on my third degree, you know, while, you know, being assistant principal. You know what I mean? And really, I wasn't even technically an assistant principal at that time. I was what they called an administrative intern, and the only thing I couldn't do at the time was evaluate teachers, which really is a small facet of the job because I'm still dealing with all the discipline. I'm dealing with all the after school events, and I had to go through all of it. And that it just made it hard trying to balance it all because it wasn't like I had a mom or a dad, you know, who had gone through similar experiences and they were able to instill wisdom.
Yeah.
They weren't able to do that. A lot of it I had to get from my wife, you know, and then I don't want to hear what she's got to say because she's my, you know, she's my equal, and I don't want to hear my equal, you know, because I'm overwhelmed right now, and I don't know how to process, you know, my anxiety that I'm feeling right now. You know, so you go through all of it, man. And we're human. We're human, you know. And so I was upset. I was upset over how that happened. But then the person that got the job was, you know, my old roommate. You know, and there was just some, you know, obviously you guys were really good men. And I forgot about, you know, Kumari. You know,
yeah, Kumari, that's still this day.
He's coaching college football.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. You done coached them. You done made people coach, bro. Like, you made us.
And people looked at me like I was crazy when I said that he's my starting nose tackle as a sophomore. They looked at me like I was crazy.
No.
I said no. Listen, you know what was the deciding factor on him for me was when in practice his tooth went through his lip and he wanted to finish practice. I said, nah, that's my nose tackle right there.
Yeah.
He was slow as dirt, but he was tough.
And he was fundamental. He
was so fundamental.
He did everything the right way.
I told him, drop your knee when you take him on a double team and you losing ground. He was going to drop his knee.
Yes.
He was going to do it.
Like, he might not have had them tackles, but he had the hardest job on the D-line, on the whole defense.
Kept the lineman off the linebackers. So, I mean, that's football, but, like,
that's life, too.
It's life, too.
When you think about it, though.
I guarantee you, right now, he's a great husband. I think he has a daughter. He's a great father. He's doing it, man. Like, he's doing the thing. I'm proud of Kamari and the person he's been.
And I'm sure the success he has, you know, is, you know, you helped him in that. You know, you imprinted on him.
A small cog in the wheel. Small cog.
I mean, as I've got older and I've understand the people that have imprinted on me, you know, I have to give them, you know, their just dues. You know, it's because, like I say, you said it earlier, man. Like, it's not nothing we do, you know, by ourselves. We do this as a whole.
As a whole.
You know, because we don't come into this with all the answers.
We don't.
You know, so we reach for others that have been where we're trying to get to. You know, I'm definitely learning that now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm living a different life, doing things differently. So, you know, I try to surround myself with people that that I respect and I admire what they're doing and how they're doing it. Because that's how I lived my former life. You know what I'm saying? I would only surround myself around the people that I respected and I admired what they were doing, and I wanted to do what they would do. So, you know, it's only right that I do that.
You said a mouthful right there, because that's it. That is it.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm going to an art show, I'm connected with the artists that they're doing something similar. I'm like, how are you sustaining? How do you make this work? How is this your livelihood? Right? And I soak it up. I take notes. I literally take notes. I pulled out my little notepad, you know, where I've written in my journal, you know, because I keep up with that too. Where I'm really writing down what they're talking about, just so I can go back and try to implement it. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much, man. It's so many ways to find success out there. It's just how do you want to be successful? That's where I go back to. How do you want to be successful? You know, do you want to be successful on your own and live a happy life and keep it simple? You know what I mean? And not worry about what everybody else got going on? It's possible.
Yeah.
You don't have to make a lot of money to do that. I mean, you can work at Walmart and do that. You can take care of yourself and keep it simple in that way. You can work your 9 to 5. Now, people might look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm like, what are you willing to sacrifice to make your own? Are you willing to build a garden? Are you willing to maintain your own? Are you willing to cut your bills in some way? Are you willing to go solar? People think I'm playing. I'm dead serious. But these are questions that, what are you willing to sacrifice? We've gotten so caught up in the convenience of living and how we're living that we don't even understand that we can do things a different way. Freedom ain't free. So stop playing. Freedom ain't free.
No.
You gotta work for it. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to be able to separate and do things a certain way, you gotta work for it.
And that's the biggest thing that the youth have to understand, man. Like this day and age with, you know, internets and social media and all that, you know, they see success or what success looks like that. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand these people that they're looking up to, that they feel successful, have this backstory of what they went to get to the point where they're showing you just end or you know just a part of something.
Right.
And it's always the good part. You know what I'm saying? It's always flashing the money, the jewelry, this, and this, but they don't know that, man, you know, it was work that, listen, man, person had to work to get to where they're at, man. So I'm glad that you put that emphasis on that throughout this whole talk, man. It's just the hard work and the sacrifice and the dedication that you put in you know, becoming who you are. You know, the person that we do speak on, you know, Mr. Lewis.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on here. I really do appreciate
Yes,
you, man. I really do. I'm happy you came on here. Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank
man.
you.
I'm proud of you. I keep up with you, man. I see what you're doing with the family. You know, you staying connected. You're out there, man. Listen, like, while you can keep it going, keep doing your thing. Because, you know, there'll be a point in time where you have to take a step back and realize you got to put more time.
Oh yeah, I already know. It ain't now. It ain't now. It ain't right now. It'll be here soon. I love what I do.
That's right.
Man, yep. This is Coach Lewis, K.O. Lewis, you know, artist.
Mr. Lewis,
You know,
principal.
I'm your host, VaSaad.
I'm your host, Byron Gaither.
Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Yes.